So hi everyone, welcome into the session. We're just going to give it a couple of moments for everyone else to get through the waiting room. So there is a couple of minutes if you want to grab a glass of water or something before we start. So we'll be starting in just a couple of moments time. While we're waiting for everything to set up, just so you know, in terms of permissions, what you have in this meeting, you won't be able to switch your camera on or unmute, but you do have access to the chat. And the way we use the chat in these sessions is you can pop whatever questions you like in there. They won't be publicly viewable. They'll just go to my colleague Nikita. And then in the session at the last bit of the session, we'll be going through the Q&A. So Nikita, could you just double check the chat comes directly to you, and then we will answer as many questions as we can towards the end of the session. So in terms of the structure of this session, you're going to be hearing from me about the University of Exeter, and then we'll open it up to Q&A. This is a really great opportunity for you to ask any questions you have about life and study at the University of Exeter. Our motto is no question is stupid, no question is silly. If you're thinking of a question, it's very, very likely that someone else in the session is thinking it too. And if we don't know the answer, we'll probably know the right place to go and find it. So do kind of ask us any questions you have. I'm sure we've had more bizarre ones in our time. So I'm just going to start off by outlining the objectives of this session. So during this session, you're going to get to know the University of Exeter and understand why you might consider choosing Exeter in your UCAS application. So when you get to the point of filling your UCAS application, or if you're a parent or guardian, when you're supporting your child through that process, you'll get 5 choices for your UCAS application. And typically, people might choose to apply to 5 different universities. You can apply for 5 different courses at 5 different universities. You can apply for 1 course at 5 different universities. So you sort of have full control over what you put in on that UCAS form. You get 5 choices. And as I say, you might choose, a lot of people do choose to choose 5 different universities, but if you have a heart set on a university, you can apply for multiple courses at a single university. So in terms of our reputation, some of these logos might be familiar to you already. And if you are starting your university research, there are some logos that are good to look out for. So this isn't exclusive to Exeter. In the bottom there, you can see some rankings for sport. So if you're sporty or if you're competitive, you can look out for the BUCS rating of a university. So that's the British Universities and Colleges sport competitions. They're ranked across the UK. So if you have a particular sport you're really passionate about, you can check out if that university offers that sport club and how it's ranked as well and what level you can get involved in. There's also the TEF logo, which is just on the bottom there in pink. That stands for the Teaching Excellence Framework. That's how universities in the UK are ranked for their teaching. So we're ranked gold, and that signifies a commitment to excellence in teaching. So making sure that the academic staff that are teaching you, you're getting a really, really good teaching experience, because at the end of the day, that's why you're going to university. It's to get that degree and learn as much as you can about a subject you love. There's also graduate employment rates, which you can look into. So if you look at the top left, there's a blue box, which signifies our employment rate. This is for the university, and each course will have a different graduate employment rate as well. So if you're thinking of applying for business and management or film and television studies, you can drill down on the university website and see what the graduate employment rate is for that specific course as well. So if you have a particular career in mind, you can see if there's graduates from that course at the University of Exeter, and you can look at the employment rate as well. That might be really important to you when you're going through your university research. There's a lot of league tables out there as well, and that might be really important to you when you are looking through your different options for university. We would always say look at a lot of different university league tables as well. So you can look at league tables that rank universities versus different universities. So maybe Exeter, Glasgow, Bristol, Bath, and that ranks them in that way. But you can also look at subject league tables as well, which can be really useful. Again, if you're looking at something really specific like film and television studies, you can look and see how film studies is ranked at Exeter, at Bristol, at Bath, etc., etc. So you can look at lots of different types of rankings to help you make your decision. The University of Exeter has been ranked top 20 in the UK for the last 10 years. So we have a very consistent ranking in league tables, and we're ranked as one of the best universities in the world by the QS rankings. We're also a Russell Group university, so that's a logo you can look out for when you're looking at your different universities. That means we're a world-class research-intensive university with a commitment to excellence in both research and teaching. So I mentioned our commitment to teaching earlier, but we are a research-intensive university. What that means is you'll be taught by academics, lecturers, teachers who are at the cutting edge of their field in terms of research, and they'll bring that expertise back into the classroom. So a lot of our courses, a lot of our modules will feed directly from cutting edge research that is happening. So if you've done a little bit of digging already, you know a little bit about Exeter, you might have heard about some of our biosciences research. So research into things like microplastic pollution. The researchers in our biosciences department, like Tamara Galloway, are feeding into kind of government policy about it. They're feeding into this amazing research in terms of NGOs and charities. They're then bringing that into the modules that they teach you as an undergraduate. So it's very motivating, very inspiring, and it gets you thinking about what is there outside the classroom. There's lots of different things on here as well. So do take a screenshot, have a look on the website if you want to have a little bit more about, have a little look at some more of our reputational information. So we've got things like the Sustainability University of the Year and how we were praised by the local authority for our COVID-19 approach. We have beautiful and safe campuses across Devon and Cornwall, so I'm going to introduce those in a moment. And we're home to over 27,000 students as well, so you'll be joining quite a large and vibrant student community if you choose Exeter. Choosing the University of Exeter means you're signing up to receive an inspiring education at one of the UK's best universities. So on the next slide, I'm just going to play you a quick video that introduces you to the University of Exeter. So I hope that's given you a bit of an insight into who we are as a university and some of the opportunities that are available. So a little bit more about us. Students and staff at the University of Exeter might be based in the city itself or at one of our campuses in Cornwall. They benefit from living in one of the most beautiful parts of the country. So we've got stunning scenery, an outstanding quality of life, and excellent economic prospects. So peddling back to that graduate research rate that I mentioned at the start, the southwest of England has cemented its reputation as one of the very best places to live, work, and study in the UK. The university itself has quite a distinct personality. It sets ambitious targets for both its students and its research. This results in innovation and high satisfaction. We're a very friendly university, so we have a community atmosphere in both city and beach settings and a focus on ensuring safe and inclusive campuses for all. We're also a very green university. So you might have seen on one of the previous slides, we've been ranked as, we've got the Green Flag Award for a lot of our campuses, and we were rated the Sustainability University of the Year. We've declared a climate emergency, and we're dedicated to ensuring together as staff and students together, we're addressing the impact of climate change. Climate change is undoubtedly one of the critical issues of our time and a significant priority for the University of Exeter in terms of research, education and global strategies. We've removed use of single-use plastic on our campuses, increased our renewable energy sources, and are increasing research into areas such as microplastic pollution that I mentioned at the start. Our campuses themselves are also very green and have been recognised as one of the very best green places in the country. So the grounds of our Streatham campus, which I'm going to introduce in a moment, our St Luke's campus and the university's Cornwall campus in Penryn have been awarded the prestigious Green Flag Awards for the quality of their horticultures, trees, plants and flowers, as well as their facilities, which are enjoyed by students, staff and visitors. I'm sure I'm not alone in kind of missing all of those spaces on the campuses as well. The ground staff at the University of Exeter work really hard all year to keep all of our estates beautiful and accessible while creating habitats that protect wildlife and the environment, which is obviously a critical point for us. There are apparently 5,247 mature trees on Exeter campuses, which remove over 2 tonnes of pollutants each year, creating a really relaxing environment to live and study as a student. So to introduce our campuses, we are spread across the southwest of England. So we have 2 campuses based in Exeter, which is in Devon, 1 campus based in Penryn, which is near Falmouth in Cornwall. When you apply to the University of Exeter, you're going to be applying for a course based on a specific campus. So when you're browsing courses on the University of Exeter website, it will show you the location, it will show you the course code as well. That will be linked to a specific campus. The UCAS codes are slightly different and entry requirements will differ as well. Some courses are only available on particular campuses where facilities and academics are based. Students are never expected to travel between Cornwall and Exeter-based campuses for teaching. Of course, they're welcome to use different facilities on different campuses if you like. This is particularly relevant to students who are based in Exeter, who might be studying at the Streatham campus that you can see on the screen here, and would like to use the St Luke's facilities and vice versa. So about sort of a 20-minute walk between those 2 campuses, or there's a bus as well. And students will use that. So whether they might be studying on the St Luke's campus, come and use the gym at Streatham or the outdoor pool, or maybe come onto the Streatham campus for some society events. There is quite a lot of movement between those 2 campuses, and students are welcome to use both or just change it up and study in a different space as well. So Streatham, that you can see on screen here, is our largest campus, and it's home to the majority of our courses. It is a campus-based university. We are a campus-based university, which means you live and study all in one place. It's quite nice. It's quite self-contained as well. I always joke that if you don't want to, you probably never have to leave this campus. There's everything. There's restaurants, there's bars, there's a self-contained cinema that's run by students, there's a theatre, there's swimming pools, there's a gym, all your teaching. There's places to eat and drink as well. So it is kind of its own environment, which is really nice. And you will bump into a lot of people on the Streatham campus that you know as well. You would be living here in your first year, so it's incredibly likely you would live on campus in accommodation. Then in 2nd, 3rd or potentially 4th year, you would live in Exeter City Centre. The Streatham campus is around a 15-minute walk from Exeter City Centre or 5 minutes on the bus, and students do get a discounted bus rate as well. St Luke's is home to our graduate School of Education, which you can see on screen here. It's also home to our sport and health sciences courses, if you're interested in sports studies, and medical degrees as well. Again, it's around a 15-minute walk from Exeter City Centre or 5 minutes on the bus. It's a really lovely campus. There's some really lovely cafes, and you can see the quad on screen here where a lot of students will play volleyball and things like that in the summer. So very, very community atmosphere at the St Luke's campus. You can take a look around all of our campuses on our YouTube channel or in virtual 360 tours as well, if you want to kind of have a look inside the buildings, have a look at where you might be studying as well. And this is our Penryn campus, which is based near Falmouth in Cornwall. On the Penryn campus, there's a huge emphasis on the environment and sustainability, with world-class research into the environment and sustainability happening here. Some courses that are offered on this campus aren't offered in Devon. So things like zoology and marine science are only based on our Penryn campus. The majority of Penryn courses do include an element of fieldwork, which provides you with an incredible opportunity to apply the knowledge you've learned in your course to a new setting. Just like in our Exeter-based campuses, in first year, most students will live on the Penryn campus, then move into private accommodation in the town in the 2nd, 3rd or 4th years. Something quite unique about our Penryn campus is that it is shared with a leading creative arts university, which is Falmouth University. So as a University of Exeter student, you will have University of Exeter teaching space, library space, and things like that. But you will share societies with Falmouth students as well. And because of a lot of the creative disciplines that are happening there, it's a really exciting opportunity to maybe get involved with things that you might not have considered before as well. So really vibrant community in the Penryn campus, and living next to so many beaches as well, I think is a huge perk for a lot of students who are studying there. I'm personally quite jealous of all of them at the moment. In terms of our community at the University of Exeter, we're home to over 27,000 students, and over 18,000 of these are undergraduates. So you will be joining quite a large community of students from all over the world. So 20 to 25% of our students are international, supported by over 5,000 members of staff, and we have 125,000 alumni in 183 countries. So when you join the University of Exeter, you will be joining and working and living alongside people from all over the world with a huge range of backgrounds as well, which is a really exciting space to start your undergraduate and your academic career. In terms of our teaching at the University of Exeter, we have around 40 subject areas and around 400 undergraduate courses to choose from. We have single honours degrees, joint degrees. So single honours degree would be something like a history BA. A joint degree would be something, a joint honours degree would be something that already exists. So something like English and history combined, English and drama combined. So a combination that's already advertised on the University of Exeter website. But we also offer a lot of flexible degrees as well. So we might offer our flexible combined honours, which allows you to combine subjects that don't typically kind of sit together. So it could be even something like history and physics that you're pushing together into a degree because you love both of those things and you do want to continue studying them at a university level. But we also offer kind of more combined degrees as well, which a lot of universities do. So things like liberal arts or natural sciences. So liberal arts, you could be combining modules from things like international relations, politics, film, English, business, picking up modules from all of those different places and having a major and a minor. We also offer things like natural sciences, which involve you combining all three sciences, so biology, chemistry, and physics, alongside some modules in computer science and mathematics as well. So there's lots of different combinations, and do not feel limited by your choices at university level, because even if you do choose to take that history BA, you love history, you want to take it as a single honours, at the University of Exeter, you can also pick up elective modules as well. So we really encourage students to take modules outside of their direct subject. So you could pick up some modules in business or English or film, and you can sort of tailor your own degree as well. As I mentioned at the start, at the University of Exeter, you'll be taught by world experts. So this is very motivating. It's very inspiring as well. On the screen here, you'll see some of our medical sciences research that's going on at the moment. In the medical sciences department, there's some leading research going on into how diabetes works and developing, hopefully one day, a cure. So looking into how it's treated and one day a cure for diabetes. That research that's happening at the moment is literally happening kind of 10 minutes that way over on our St. Luke's campus. That is then woven into the undergraduate modules that you'll be taught on the course. So it is cutting edge, it is very up to date. It's very inspiring to know that the people who are teaching you are kind of really at the forefront of things that you are being taught as well. We're split into 6 academic colleges. They're not colleges like Oxford and Cambridge or maybe Durham, so you don't live in your academic college, but you are aligned to a college for your teaching and assessment. So if you're taking law, for example, you would sit within the law school, but you'd sit within the College of Social Sciences and International Studies. If you're taking business and management, you'll sit within our business school, which is a college. We normally mention that at this point because they might make reference to it maybe in an offer letter or any communications you get from the university. It's also useful to know when you're navigating the website as well. So when you see the word college, you won't be living in that college, but you will be aligned to them for things like student support. So your tutor will sit within your academic college, and you'll get an academic tutor that supports you throughout your degree, and things like learning and assessment will be aligned to an academic college as well. I think it's really important to have a little look when you are considering your courses as well. Have a look at the research that's going on in the department that you're going into, because it could be some areas that really surprise you as well. And as I said, our teaching is research led. So it is led by these developments. In our law school, you could be learning about driverless cars and the ethics behind that. There's research going on to that at the moment, and you could be taught that. You could be commenting on some of the research that's getting produced at the moment and really making a contribution. In terms of how we teach, I mentioned just a minute ago that we do kind of encourage people to sort of tailor their own degrees and design their own degrees as well. There's a number of different ways you can do this. So you can take up a study abroad year. You can apply from that for the point of application. So if you're taking that history BA that I mentioned earlier, you could apply for the history BA, which is its own degree, or you could apply for a history BA with a study abroad year, which is a separate UCAS code, and you'll be applying separately. But you can take up some study abroad opportunities even when you join us at university. We would recommend, if you are considering study abroad, that you do apply from it when you submit your UCAS form. That just means that it's all set up. The university knows you want to study abroad and can put the right support in place for you. But there are opportunities to go abroad in the summer if you don't want to take that full year. You could do some volunteering overseas, get involved in a society, and get the experience that way as well. Study abroad years typically happen in your third year. So your first and second year, you'll be at the University of Exeter. Third year, you'll be spending some time at a partner university overseas, gaining credits towards your University of Exeter degree. And then in your final year, you'll come back and finish your degree. It's a very similar structure for the year in industry. So we call this an industrial experience year. Some universities call it a year in industry. Some universities call it a sandwich year. Every university calls it something slightly different. But it is the same structure. So you get your first and second years at the University of Exeter. Third year, you'll be working for a company, either in the UK or overseas. And your final year, you'll come back and finish off your degree. The important thing to note about study abroad and your work experience years is that you do pay a reduced amount of tuition. So you're not paying that £9,250. Typically, you'd be paying less than £2,000 in fees for that either study abroad year or work experience year. So you aren't completely out of pocket by taking on that extra year of your university degree. Typically, that is also covered by your student loan. As well as this, that I mentioned earlier, there's loads of opportunities for field trips. So they could be local field trips, they could be overseas field trips that are embedded into the degree, and it gives you a really different experience and a really great chance to kind of apply the knowledge that you've learned in the classroom to a new setting, as well as really bonding with people on your course as well. A lot of our courses are also accredited, so this is something to look out for if you want to go on to a particular degree. So our business school is a triple accredited business school. If you're looking at something like accountancy as a career and you want to take an accountancy degree, have a look and see if it is accredited. Accreditations can mean that a little bit further on in your career, you might be exempt from taking some exams, and you will be seen as very employable as well. So have a look and see if courses are accredited. A lot of our courses are quite flexible as well. So I mentioned you could pick up elective modules. That doesn't have to just be in academic subjects as well. You could pick up a language alongside your degree. You could use some of your flexible modules to pick up a language. If you take a certain number of language modules at Exeter, you could graduate with a proficiency in that language. So to use my history example, you could have a history BA with a proficiency in French if you take a certain number of French modules. So there is a lot of flexibility for you to sculpt your own degree. In terms of types of teaching, this is something that I would say it's really important to look out for when you are considering different degrees. Universities will teach in a range of different ways, and it might be specific to the course you're considering as well. So on here, I've noted down some of the ways that we teach in general, but have a little look into your specific course, because there will be a part on the website that talks about learning and teaching, or teaching and learning, which will break down how you're taught, how many contact hours you have as well, which is really important. So we might do things like lectures, which are a lot bigger. That could be a couple of hundred people. Seminars, which typically about 20 to 30 people, where you'll be sort of maybe discussing some reading that's been set by the tutor, and it might be a bit of a debate format as well. There might be a little bit of a presentation and a bit of a debate as well. Tutorials, which are quite small, that could just be one-on-one or with two people with a tutor. Lab sessions, if you're taking kind of a STEM-based subject, you'll get full training as well when you start as a university student, to see how you use the lab, all your health and safety and everything, and you will get a lot of induction as well, so you're supported through that. You might be taking workshops. If you're taking law, you might be doing some mooting as well. So you might be doing lots of different experiences and different ways of learning as well that you might not have done before. Private study is a huge part of university life. So independent study that you're probably already doing if you're taking your A-levels or IB or BTECs at the moment, and you'll be learning how you work best. So you might have learned from your studies so far that you love working in kind of a silent space. You can't have any background noise, or you might know that you actually like that chatter in the background, whether you're in a library or a cafe or something like that. Private study does make up a huge part of university life. There will be significant periods of time where you'll be doing your own independent research, working to deadlines by yourself or with some of your peers as well. So that is a big part of university life, and it is skills that you're honing already throughout your studies. And finally, do have a look and see how degrees are assessed. So that could be a really important part of your research. This is because you might know that you do really well in exams. You might love the kind of adrenaline of going into an exam hall. You might really prefer coursework, and you might know that you do really well when you're controlling your own deadlines in that setting as well. On our University of Exeter web pages, it will show you the ways in which a course is typically assessed. So if you know that you do really well in exams, and when you go to university, you want a course that will assess you in exams, you can check that out on university websites. Do have a look, make sure you've got as much information as possible, submit an inquiry, chat to a current student. I'll talk a little bit about that later, but you can ask students how things are assessed. And it might surprise you as well. Sometimes students at Exeter are assessed by things like vlogs, or they'll get set like a creative project as well, even if it's what might be seen as a super academic subject. There are quite creative assessment methods as well. So they're not all just exams, and they're not all just essays. So a really important part of university is having a look at employability. So at the University of Exeter, we have a dedicated team based in our career zone who help you to plan your career. You can access these resources from literally the day you start. So on your first day of university, if you really wanted to, you could go into the career zone and ask them to help you plan your career. 90% of our students, as I mentioned at the start, are in work or further study within 6 months of graduation. It's a stat we're really, really proud of. One of the reasons for this is the fact we weave employability modules into our degrees. So you'll be getting employability skills throughout your degree. You'll be getting work skills training. You'll have opportunities to pick up volunteering. The volunteering societies at Exeter are really popular. And there are things like dog walking, volunteering, or volunteering at local care homes, which students really love because it does embed them into the community as well. But there are some kind of international volunteering opportunities as well. So a great thing to get involved in at university that give you loads and loads of skills that are actually really well seen by graduate employers. Our career zone also advertises lots of internships and, crucially as well, part-time jobs. So they will, this is all free to access. You can just go on the website, you can browse through part-time jobs that are being advertised in maybe Exeter or Cornwall, depending on where you're based. And you can find yourself that part-time job, whether it's in the local community or on our campuses or for the university as well. So the career zone is a really great asset, and it is available after you graduate as well. So we're what's called a careers forever university, and what that means is you can access that 10 years after you graduate if you really want to. If you want to have a look at some, if you want to use their CV builders or any of the online resources as well, it doesn't matter if you've graduated 1 year, 5 years, 10 years after, you will still be able to access those resources. So as an Exeter alum, you will get access to all of that, which is a really, really good thing. Now, in terms of support at university, the University of Exeter is focused on your student experience. So as I mentioned earlier, you'll get a personal tutor, an academic tutor, who typically will see you throughout your degree. That will mean if there's any issues you have coming up, if you need any support, they'll be able to help you with that as well. You'll also get access to academic skills support. And this is something the university is looking into even more now at the moment with the transitional period for you over the past 2 years. Obviously, the amount of upheaval has meant that maybe you haven't taken exams in the typical way. You might not have kind of developed those academic skills in a normal world you would have. So universities will offer these free academic skills support workshops. That means even if it's things like referencing that you might not be familiar with, you'll be able to access that and access a team that can help you with that as well. At the University of Exeter, there is a lot of student academic engagement. So what that means is if you're getting maybe a lecturer in that setting, you can go and drop in, speak to your lecturer if you have any issues with some of the reading that's been set, or you don't quite understand something's happened in a lecture, or even if you kind of love the topic and you're thinking, oh, I would love to do that for a dissertation, or I'd love to look into that a bit more. Academics have office hours at Exeter. Typically that would be an open door kind of office hour thing, but at the moment it's on Teams, and actually that makes it a lot more flexible as well. So they'll advertise a certain period of time where they are available, and you can drop in and ask them any questions just in a quick Teams call, and they can help you with anything you need as well. You'd also have access to things like the iExeter app, which will hold your timetable on, lots of reading and things like that, which is a really great resource. You'll have access to 1.25 million digital and 1 million print resources through our libraries that are typically open 24/7. And access to an electronic learning environment as well. Obviously, over the past couple of years, universities have really bolstered their digital offering. So that means that you will have access to kind of Microsoft Teams and all that kind of thing as well. So lots and lots of digital resources now as well. And we do really care about how our students are getting on. So on top of exciting activities like sports and societies and a really good gym, we do have a brilliant wellbeing team who provide counselling and support to our students. And again, that's free to access. Both the university and the Students' Guild offer additional support and advice units that cover issues like finance, careers, help you with looking for accommodation or academic support as well. So health and wellbeing does cover both your physical and mental health. So at Exeter, we encourage our students to register with the health centre. So we have a health centre of doctors that is based on our Streatham campus in Exeter, and at Penryn, there's an on-campus health centre as well. And we do provide a range of advice and counselling services on our campuses, again, that are free to access as well. And if you do have any additional needs, we have an absolutely excellent accessibility team. So if you have any sort of accessibility issues, or if you have any extra time on your exams or anything additional that's put in place by your school at the moment, that will transfer over to university. So they provide academic support or equipment that can help students with their studies. They can also advise students on any additional funding support. So there might be some money that's available to you to help support you through the process as well. And that's available to students across our campuses. That's a really great service to be aware of. When you're staying in university managed accommodation, residential support is in place. So you have a residence life team, which is normally a current student, maybe in their second or third year. They'll live in the flat as well. They've been through the process. They know the ropes. They know what student accommodation is like. They'll help to mediate any disputes. They'll help support you through that as well, help you settle in as well. So that's a really great source of advice and support for students living in managed accommodation. We do also have multi-faith chaplaincy services on all our sites and spaces to worship and meditate as well. Freshers Week is an absolutely huge part of university. Last year this was online. We're looking towards a kind of a blended approach in the next couple of years. It's a great time where the university and the Students' Guild or the Students' Union will put on lots of different activities to help you settle in and find your feet. There is a huge range of activities as well. Some of them might surprise you, and you probably will sign up for kind of like 30 societies on the Freshers Week, because you'll just kind of sign up for everything, and then maybe sort of whittle it down to just a few that you really, really enjoy towards Christmas and into the spring as well. All societies and clubs do have taster sessions for new students to try before they become full members. So a lot of people will use that time to try something new, and we would encourage you to try something new. There's some truly bizarre societies, there's some amazing sports that you might not have even heard of, that you can get involved in, meet new people, and just see if you like it as well. So in terms of finance, the University of Exeter is committed to recruiting and supporting the brightest and best students, regardless of their background. It's a really key priority for us. We offer the Access to Exeter bursary, which is specific to us, that provides support to students from low-income backgrounds. There's also great support available for students who are leaving care, including a tuition fee waiver and support with accommodation costs. You can have a look at Access to Exeter on our website for more information. The Access to Exeter bursary is a recurring amount as well, so it's not just in your first year, that is recurring in your second and third years as well, so that just helps with maybe accommodation costs and settling in costs as well. We do offer scholarships and bursaries as well. So for our scholarships, we do offer a really comprehensive sports scholarship, sports bursaries as well. So if you are sporty and you compete at a high level, do have a look on our sport website and see if you might be eligible for. It's a very comprehensive support package. It's not just financially, it's to do with equipment and support, and a high performance program as well. So that's really amazing opportunity if you are sporty. We might also offer scholarships for specific subjects as well. So if you're looking into a specific subject, you can have a browse on our funding database on our website and see if any of them might be relevant to you, and see if you, because sometimes you might be quite surprised at the scholarships or grants and things that you might be eligible for. We also have a hardship and retention fund for anyone who might be struggling at university. So we do have that through our Students' Guild, who does support our students throughout their degree as well. So in terms of research, as I mentioned at the start, we do set ambitious goals and we aren't afraid of a challenge, particularly in terms of research. I'm just going to show you a quick video which gives you a bit of an introduction into the kind of research we offer as a university, the kind of research you might get involved in as well. I'm just going to skip that on because the video didn't play and I'm not going to waste anyone's time. So do have a look on our University of Exeter website, and have a little watch of that video if you do have some time. It's absolutely fascinating, some of the research that's happening at the University of Exeter. I would really encourage you to watch that video, or I might ask Nikita to pop the link to it in our chat. That would be great. Thanks, Nikita. So in terms of accommodation, this is obviously a really key thing that you're going to be looking into as a student. And it is important for you to do things like taking a virtual tour of accommodation as well. So you can do that on our website, have a look around, see if you can see yourself there, see if it has an ensuite, if you definitely want an ensuite, see if it's catered, non-catered. It's a really good thing to do some research into. The University of Exeter does guarantee university accommodation to new students who are entering the first year of an undergraduate programme. So the majority of you will be, who have firmly accepted the offer of a place at Exeter if they apply by the deadline. So to just break that down, if you've got all your offers from different universities, and you're trying to decide which is your first choice and your second choice, so your firm choice or your insurance choice, if you make Exeter your firm choice, so your number one choice, and you apply for accommodation by the deadline, we guarantee you Exeter owned or managed accommodation in your first year of study. So typically the way that we sort of sort out accommodation is that we will ask you to fill in a bit of a sort of quiz or a questionnaire about your interests. So you could say you're super sporty, or you only want a single kind of gender flat, or you can tell us a bit about your interests as well, and we'll try and fit you together with people that you might get along with as well. So we do add that as an extra layer, and I think that's really nice as well, and it tends to work quite well with setting people up. We do have a huge range of halls of residences at the University of Exeter, either on or near our campus. As I mentioned, you could have catered accommodation, self-catered. We do have some private housing as well. So a huge range, and I would encourage you to go on our University of Exeter website and have a little look through the different things that are available. So I've used the word Students' Union or Students' Guild quite a bit in this presentation and haven't really explained what they are. So the Students' Union or the Students' Guild are entities that live at universities, at institutions across the UK. What they are is the Students' Guild represent the interests of the students to the university management. So students are represented by student-run Students' Guild and the Students' Union in Cornwall. It gives a voice to students on campus, and they also organise regular events, and they host over 250 clubs and societies. They'll offer a lot of practical advice and emotional supports to students as well. At the University of Exeter, there kind of is a society for most interests, for every nationality, subject, faith, hobby, interest, sport, and a few more interesting ones. So we've got like a chocolate society, Taylor Swift society, hide and seek society, and in Cornwall we have a lot of surfers in Cornwall, so we have some great surfing societies, one of the best surfing societies in the country, Zero Waste Society, and a bee society as well, which I've recently heard about, which sounds really cool. There are also societies for a huge range of sports, some that you might not have even heard of before. And a lot of societies will organise things like trips and events that you can get involved in as well. So do have a look on our websites, have a look and see if there's any societies that you might be interested in. If there's not a society that you're interested in, then you can set up your own as well, which is really great. So as long as you have a certain number of people that are interested in it as well, you can set up your own society. And it does give you a lot of skills as well. So you could become a president of a society, you could become a treasurer, you could be a social sec, and actually that looks really good on your CV when you graduate as well, because you've taken on a certain amount of responsibility at university. And obviously, apart from that, it's such an amazing way to meet new people, get involved, and really kind of get to grips with life at the University of Exeter as well. So I've mentioned sport a little bit throughout this presentation, and it is an important part of life here at the University of Exeter. We are renowned for our sporting reputation, and we do pride ourselves on inclusivity as well. So our sports teams do cater for all abilities, from casual sports to high performance athletes. There are a range of sporting facilities available across our campuses, and we are constantly investing in it as well to make sure that our facilities are up to a professional standard. The Russell Seal Fitness Centre, which you can see on screen here, features a state-of-the-art gym with 200 stations, as well as an athlete development centre and a brand new £4 million sports centre at our Penryn Campus, which has provided new exercise space and equipment as well. So our sports teams do allow participation for all students. Whatever your ambitions, you'll have a chance to take part in sport and fitness activities at Exeter. It could be just an intramural kind of level. It could be, as I said, it could be absolutely high performance, absolutely top of your game. You could be playing internationally already, you could be playing regionally, and our teams will be able to support you through that as well. We do believe that sport and wellness should be embedded into student life. So you can choose from one of the 50 sports clubs. As I mentioned, an intramural sport programme. We do have a Healthy Halls initiative as well, which offers you the chance to get involved in activities throughout the region. You can also get involved with coaching if that's something you're interested in, volunteering or enhancing your CV through opportunities with our sports centre as well. We are currently ranked the #1 sports university in the south of England and Wales, with more teams supported in 2019 and 20. We're really expecting more growth in Bucks when it's back to normal, and even more points as well. So we are really proud of our investment in sport, health and fitness, and there are opportunities for whatever level you're involved in. I would encourage you, if you are sporty, if you have a particular interest, you head over to our sports website. So if you head to the student sport part of our website, that will break it down and show you all the opportunities that are available. And if you are interested and you do compete highly, do get in touch with our sports team. They'll be able to talk to you a little bit more about scholarships and bursaries as well. So in terms of the application timeline, you might be looking at this and think, oh, I'm about there. This sort of guides you through year 12 or lower sixth to upper sixth as well. So typically around March time, that's when the universities will publish their prospectuses, whether that's in print or online. And that's typically, again, when UCAS exhibitions start. Obviously, this year we've been seeing them virtually. June, this is when open days start. Again, at the moment, these are virtual for universities. And then from September to January, that's when that UCAS window opens. So from now, might be when you're doing your research, when you're thinking about starting your personal statement, when you're thinking about taking some massive online open courses, which are often referred to as MOOCs. They allow you to get a bit of a taste for a particular subject. So if you're thinking, or you're trying to decide between a couple of subjects, or thinking about whether you want to combine a few modules and things like that's a really good opportunity. Universities around this time will also be offering things like subject taster days, where you can get to grips with the subject. And then you can obviously start sort of drafting, or at least thinking about your personal statement towards June, July and into the summer. So September to January, this is the UCAS window. There is an early deadline if you're considering medicine and or Oxbridge. So this is a really important one to be in mind of. Your school or college might set you an internal deadline sort of early November as well to get your personal statements in. So they have a bit of time to organise your references and things like that from a school perspective. January is the UCAS deadline. So this is when your UCAS application should be submitted. This was a little bit later this year, and they have just announced the date for next year as well. But as I say, your school or college will typically set you a much earlier deadline than that January deadline, just to make sure everything's in place. March is the offer deadline and the offer holder visit day. So universities will invite you to their universities to have a little look around. We hope this will be in person next year, but I think we all made the same kind of joke about not having a crystal ball, but universities have been putting this all online this year. So a lot of opportunities to engage with current students, ask lots of questions. And I would encourage you, whether they're in person or online, whichever university you apply to take advantage of those offer holder visit days. Take a list of questions. Even if you can't think of any questions, go on something like the student room and write down some questions that other people are thinking about, because it's a really good opportunity to chat to staff and to students about your choices. It's a really big decision when you're deciding between your different offers, and you need to make sure you've got as much information as possible, because it's a place where you're going to be studying and living for 3, 4 or 5 years if you're considering something like medicine. May is the decision deadline, and then we head into August, which is results day, confirmation and clearing. So clearing is if you maybe just haven't quite met your grades and you haven't quite met the offer that a university has offered you, you can enter into clearing, where you go to different universities and see what vacancies they have, and you can get into a university through clearing. Another term that you might have heard of is adjustment. So clearing is if you don't quite make your grades. Adjustment is if you really exceed your grades, you do a lot better than you expected. And maybe you might want to sort of shop around and see which other universities might have spaces available as well through adjustments. That's something you might hear about as well. And then September or October, that's when universities will typically start their year. So it's a bit of it is a journey, and it's one that you're on at the moment. And I would encourage you at the moment, you are sort of a little bit along that blue, and it's the time where research is so important. So coming to things like this is absolutely amazing, and you should continue to do things like this as well. Just get as much information as you can, really interrogate the information that's given to you as well, and do make sure you get as much info as possible. So I do expect you come up with some good questions for today as well. And in terms of what we're looking for as a university, so the University of Exeter is looking for applicants who are suited to the course, have the qualifications and qualities to succeed on the programme, are ambitious, conscientious and hardworking, able to work under pressure, they can adjust to the new university environment, show dedication to the course and have researched it. So that's coming back to that research, coming back to you looking at those modules, looking at your course choices, have a genuine interest in the subject and a desire to learn more. So we are looking for potential as well. So now is the big question whether my last video will work, and if it doesn't, we're going to open it up to Q&A a little bit early. So it didn't work, so I'm just going to stop my screen share. Thank you so much for coming. We're going to open it up to Q&A now. We do have more events coming up like this, so things like writing your personal statement. So if that's the next thing that's sort of on your list, on your journey, then do come along to one of our personal statement workshops and we'll guide you through that process, starting to think about drafting your personal statement. So I'm just going to stop my screen share and then we'll open it up to Q&A. So Nikita, do we have any questions through?
Need to unmute, that would help. Yeah, we've got quite a few come through actually. So the first one, is it possible to do flexible language modules as part of your degree if they've already done it for GCSEs or A-levels? So it's all about obviously building on those skills that they already have.
Absolutely, yes, you can. Some particular languages might allow you to start from scratch. So if you have a passion for a language that you haven't had the opportunity to study at school, you can start that from scratch as some of these elective modules. And if you have studied at GCSE or at A-level, you can sort of continue with that as well. So it's the Modern Foreign Language Centre, which is, if you have a look on our website, they'll have a lot of information on there as well. But if you come along to an open day or an offer holder day, then they will be able to provide you with some information. But first port of call, I would say, have a look at our Modern Foreign Language Centre on the website. But yes, it's absolutely a possibility.
Great. So the next question was, so someone missed our virtual open day last week. Will there be any more virtual open days, or will there be any more face-to-face events as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are, and they are all listed on our website. So I might just ask Nikita to pop that into the chat. So we've got a whole section on the website, which is the undergraduate section of our web page, and they've got the Visit Us side of it as well. So that will show you all of the opportunities we have coming up. And there are, I mentioned earlier, there's lots of opportunity to speak to students. A lot of opportunity to speak to students just on our website as well. So there's this amazing thing called UniBuddy. If you haven't used it already, I would really recommend it. If you head to the website, it will pop up in the corner and it'll say ask a student or chat to a student. I think it's also listed on the links that Nikita's popped in the chat. You can speak to a student who might be studying a subject you're interested in. They might be in their first year, second year, third year. You can also have a look and see students who might be from your area as well. So if you're from the southeast of England or you're from Scotland, there might be some students who are from that area as well, so you can ask them like how they found the move, what differences there were and things like that. So if you haven't used UniBuddy, it's a really good thing to kind of get involved in, and we do actually have some subject taster events coming up as well. So we have an event coming up called You Do Youth, which is I might ask my colleague Lucy or Nikita to pop the link to that in the chat as well. So that will allow you to sort of get involved, and it is actually on exeter.ac.uk/Discover University, which I obviously know off by heart. Yeah, so that's a fab opportunity. That will be run by academics. There'll be current students there as well, and you can really kind of get to grips with some different subjects that you might not have considered before as well. Very rambly answer, sorry.
No, that's great, thank you. I'm just popping the link in the chat now for everyone to have a look at. I'm just going to scroll back up because obviously that's put me down the bottom. So we've got loads coming through, which is really great. Someone's asked a bit about contextual offers. They've had a look on our website, but they're still a little bit confused about it. So is the contextual offer one grade lower? Would you be able to explain it in a little bit more detail?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are a university that's quite transparent about our offer making, which means that if you are looking at a specific subject, it should show what that contextual offer will be. So if you're looking at that history example that I said earlier, if you head to the history page, it will show you the typical entry requirements and the contextual offer for a specific subject. So it does differ a little bit depending on on maybe the subject you are applying for. So if you're applying for medicine, the contextual offer for medicine is quite different to the contextual offer for history. You can head to our contextual offer pages, which do break it down a little bit more. But it should be quite clear on the subject webpage what the typical contextual offer would be for that subject. So I hope that helps. They do differ a little bit, so I wouldn't like to say sort of very specifically. But if anything is unclear, you can get in touch with us, and we'll be able to clarify that for you as well.
Thanks for that, Amy. Another really great question here is, generally the Exeter study or work abroad courses are one grade higher than the normal kind of course. Would Exeter consider us for the normal course if we apply for the study or work abroad course but don't quite get those grades? So would they be kind of moved on to the normal course if they didn't get the grades for the study abroad?
So that is a really good question, and that sort of links us into what we call alternate offers. So the University of Exeter might make you an alternate offer if you on results day you don't quite meet the grades. In terms of offer making, we are quite flexible with our offers, and I would encourage you to sort of get in touch and see what the flexibility is with, sorry about my doorbell, but I would encourage you to kind of find out if there is any flexibility around that. Our study abroad programs are quite competitive, and they're what we call capped courses. So we are limited in the number of people we can take on those courses, so that is occasionally why the grades are a little bit higher. I would, if you have a particular subject in mind, I would get in touch with the team. So on the website we'll give you a kind of contact form. Again, if I use my history example, but if you're interested in history or study abroad, just find out what the flexibility is, find out if those are concrete. And there are opportunities to, even if you don't apply for study abroad at the start, so from the point of UCAS, there is some opportunities to get some international experience added on to your degree after you start at the university. It's a little bit harder, and you do have to sort of maintain a grade average, but there might be some opportunities for you to sort of add it onto your degree after you arrive at university.
Great, thank you. And so the next question is, if there's a sport that they really want to do, but it's not offered on the campus that their course is based at, what are their options?
Did you say sport? Sorry.
Sport, yeah, sorry.
Oh, yeah. Brilliant. Okay. I thought you said course. So yes, so you will have some flexibility there as well. So if that's an Exeter-based campus, if you're based on St Luke's campus, for example, and you're studying medicine or nursing, medical imaging, something like that, and you want to take a sport that's only offered on Streatham, then you can obviously like hop between the two and kind of use those facilities. If it is you're based in Penryn and you want to play a sport that's based in Exeter, it is a little bit harder, but you will, if you really wanted to, you could kind of access that as well. If you're based in Penryn, if the question is sort of more focused on Penryn, they are quite embedded in the community as well. So if the sport isn't offered as a sport linked to the Students' Union, there might be some opportunities for you to get involved outside of that and in the local community as well. So depending on the campus, there is some flexibility, and I would, especially if you compete quite highly in it already, I would get in touch with the sports team, the sports centre, at the University of Exeter, and they'll be able to sort of run through your options a little bit more, because there have been some cases where people have sort of been doing fencing, for example, and they compete very highly in fencing on the Penryn campus, and they do spend some time up in Exeter. It's about sort of 2.5 hours, so it is quite far. But if that is something that you are really dedicated to, then the sports centre will support you through that.
Great, thank you. And the next question is, does the university offer lower grade requirements for those who have completed the EPQ?
Yes, I love this question. We do. So the University of Exeter does really value the skills that an EPQ provides. You know, the fact that it is a research project, it does make you sort of a more not a more mature student, but like the skills that you're developing are things that we really, really want to see. And it is a lot of work as well, when we do recognise that. So typically for the EPQ, what we'll do is we'll make you, I'll use the term alternate offer again. So if we're making you an offer, say the offer is AAA for our law course, if you've also got an A in your EPQ, we'll say we can lower that by 1 grade. So the AAA could become AAB with an A in your EPQ. So we do really value the EPQ, and in most cases, we will offer a reduced offer if you get an A in it.
Great, thank you. And so the next question is, how do we find out about taster sessions for each subject, and are they a good thing to put in your personal statement?
Yeah, so I think my one of my colleagues has popped it in the chat, but if you head to exeter.ac.uk/Discover University, we have some coming up actually towards the end of June, beginning of July. So they are typically published on our Discover University pages or on some of the pages that Nikita has linked already. So things like the Visit Us page. So we have some happening at the moment to do with the G7, so in line with Sustainable Development Goals and some of the research that's going on at the moment. So there are a lot of opportunities out there. I would also encourage you to follow our Facebook page as well. So that's Discover Uni X, facebook.com/Discover Uni X, and we do post all of our things on there as well, so do follow that. And yes, they're an absolutely fantastic thing to pop into your personal statement. So for competitive universities like Exeter, we'd look for about 70-80% of your personal statement to be about the subject or subjects you are applying for. So around 80%. So if you're studying history, we probably look for about 80% of that personal statement to be about your love of history, what you've done so far, what you've done to engage outside the classroom. So subject taster days are a really good example of that. You know, you've gone out of your way to find those opportunities, you've got involved, you turned up on the day, you asked your questions, and you found out more about the subject. So that's a fantastic thing to put in your personal statement. So 80% about your subject and around 20-30% on things like transferable skills. So EPQ is a really good example of that. Through the EPQ, you gain things like time management skills, project management skills, research skills. So they all play a really, really big part in the personal statement.
Great. And just to kind of highlight, we've got a personal statement session like this coming up on the 15th of June. So just go to that Discover University website we keep going on about, where you clicked onto this course, because that'll be a really great kind of session to talk you through about, you know, how you can write it and how you can make a good starting point with it. So the next question is, would you recommend catered or non-catered accommodation?
So I think that's a really, really personal question, which sounds like I'm trying to get out of it, but it is very personal. And I think like it depends on what you're planning to do at university. So I've worked with a few students who are currently studying, and they said that they chose catered. So it kind of goes two ways. I think catered, if you have maybe lots of clubs on and you maybe don't have time to cook, or you don't love cooking, and you want to just be able to sit there, get your meal, pop your tray away and go. So that can work really well if you've got a lot on, you've got a really busy schedule. Also, if you just want that kind of community sort of atmosphere as well, so obviously going to sort of more like a canteen. The food is apparently very good in our catered accommodation. But it does sort of depend on you. And self-catered accommodation obviously is a little bit different. Again, you probably will get that sort of community atmosphere if you're cooking with your housemates. You might be sort of doing like dinners together and things like that, and trying different things. So what I would do is I would chat to current students on Unibuddy. So I'll chat to them on the website, see how they made that decision, maybe chat to any alumni of Exeter who go to your school, if you have sort of alumni networks, and just find out what might be right for you. And do remember that catered accommodation is typically only for your first year. So in your second and third year, if you're moving into the town, you will eventually have to self-cater. But I think a lot of the tips that our students provide is, you know, even if you sort of have practiced a couple of meals, cooking a couple of meals over the summer, if you're not like a really good cook already, just getting a couple of meals ready for when you sort of go to university in September can really help just with settling in as well, because you know how to cook it, you know what you have to do. It sort of reminds you of home as well, if it's a nice homey meal. So yeah, it is very personal, and look at the prices as well. So see what you are in a financial position to do.
Oh, thank you. I think we've got about 2 minutes left, so we've got loads of questions, but I'll pick a few out. So I think this one's quite a nice one. What happens during Freshers Week?
Well, it is quite I think it's quite a unique week, I would say. And sometimes, like, I've walked up and down the Forum Hill on our Streatham-based campus, and I've seen horses, I've seen surfboards, I've seen snowboards. It is like absolutely a hive of activity, with everyone asking you to sign up to their clubs. You might go to taster sessions. So and there might be some sort of things that are put on by your halls and things as well. So lots of exciting activities. There might be like a street food market, opportunities to go out into the town if you want to go out and to restaurants or clubs or bars. So there are a huge range of experiences, and I think Exeter is really good at putting on experiences that do that do apply to everyone. So it's not all about sort of drinking alcohol. If you don't drink alcohol, there are loads of opportunities to get involved with sports. If you don't like sports, there are loads of opportunities to just go to things like coffee mornings or settle in that way as well. There are things things like library inductions as well. If you do sort of want to get in and start using the library straight away, there's things like that. But it is sort of a week where you don't have to worry so much about your academics. You don't have to worry about doing any essays. There's very little timetabled on Freshers Week, and it's all about settling you in and making you feel at home.
Oh, great. Yeah, it's a really great week. So wherever you end up, take advantage of it and do as much as you possibly can, I think is the top tip there. We're coming to the end of the session. Thank you guys so much for all of your questions. Sorry we didn't get through all of them. Just to kind of highlight that our university website is got so much information. We've got a few kind of questions about grade entry requirements. So all of that information is on our website. So we've got a few questions about what happens if you're taking 4 A levels, so that's all on our website as well. So we base it on 3 A levels rather than the 4. But yeah, is there anything you'd like to add, Amy?
I don't think so. Just do come along to more of these sessions if you found it useful, and do keep in touch with universities. So we're not scary, we won't bite. Do send us an email or pick up the phone if you do have any questions. The university employs hundreds of people literally just to answer questions. So do ask questions and make sure you're sort of fully aware, and have as much information as possible before you make your choices. But yeah, good luck and have a good last few weeks of term as well, and have a nice summer when it arrives. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks.